Welcome to NightPulse, where we delve into darkness every Tuesday and Friday night. If you enjoy an evening, or even daytime chill, please hit like and subscribe for more unsettling tales like this. Now, lower the lights, get comfortable, and let the pulse of darkness pull you in.
I don't remember the exact day it started. That bothers me more than anything. Most people can tell you when their fear began. A date, a moment, a sound that split their life into before and after. For me, it feels like something that was always there, just quiet enough to ignore until it wasn't. His name is Elias. I didn't know that at first. I only knew the way he moved through the city, like he didn't quite belong to it anymore. I first noticed him near Eden Station. It was early evening, the kind of light that makes glass reflect more than it reveals. I stood at the crossing, scrolling aimlessly on my phone, when I caught sight of him in the reflection of a shop window. He wasn't looking at the display. He was looking past it, at me. When I turned, he looked away instantly, too instantly, like he'd practiced the motion. His coat was dark, his posture rigid, hands tucked deep into his pockets as though he was afraid of what they might do if left free. The light changed. People crossed. He crossed too, always a few steps behind me. I told myself it was coincidence. Eden is full of coincidences. I saw him again 2 days later, and again the day after that. Sometimes he appeared at the edge of my vision, never centered. Sometimes I noticed him only when I checked reflections, bus windows, cafe glass, puddles warped by rain. Always behind me, never close enough to confront. I started taking different routes home, longer routes, crowded ones. He adapted effortlessly, never matching my pace exactly, never giving me anything concrete to accuse him of. But I felt him, that low pressure between the shoulder blades, the sense of being measured, watched. I didn't tell anyone at first, especially not Mara. She used to tell me I imagined danger where there was none, that I was sensitive, that the world wasn't out to get me. She'd moved to Eden months before, to live with Elias, actually, and I didn't want to sound hysterical when she was finally doing well. But then Mara disappeared. Not all at once, not dramatically. She stopped replying to messages. Then her social media went quiet. Her phone went straight to voicemail. And then, suddenly, Elias was alone. I knew because I saw him alone. The first time I saw him after Mara vanished was when I moved to Eden from the island. He looked damaged, like something had been cut out of him messily. He stood outside a cafe, staring at the door without going in. When he finally did, he ordered coffee and sat alone by the window, his gaze unfocused, his reflection layered over his face like a second expression. I watched from across the street. I don't know why I didn't go to him, ask him where she was, demand answers. I think some part of me already knew. That's when the fear became certainty, because he started appearing closer, not just near me, near my building, near my street. One night I saw him standing beneath the flickering streetlight across from my apartment, head tilted slightly upward as though counting floors. I turned off my lights and watched him from the dark. He stayed there for nearly 10 minutes. I began documenting everything: dates, times, locations. It made me feel less powerless. I noticed patterns. He favored the same cafes, walked the same loops, passed the same alleyways again and again like he was checking something, or someone. Once I followed him instead, just to be sure. He walked toward the river, stopping beneath a bridge where the water churned black and loud beneath him. He leaned over the railing for a long time, hands gripping the rusted metal. I thought he might jump. Instead, he reached into his pocket and dropped something into the water. I couldn't see what it was, but the way he watched it sink made my stomach twist. After that, I started seeing things on the news. Women assaulted, bodies found near the coast, unidentified remains. Eden has always been violent beneath its polish, but the timing felt deliberate, personal. I couldn't stop thinking about Mara, about how suddenly she'd cut contact, about how Elias never looked surprised when he saw me, only wary, as if he recognized me in some way he couldn't place. The dreams started soon after. In them, I was running through the city during the Festival of Dying Gods, lanterns swaying overhead, masked figures laughing and chanting names of forgotten deities. Elias followed me through the crowd, his face obscured by a god mask I couldn't identify. No matter how fast I ran, he stayed the same distance away, always behind, always patient. I woke each time with my heart racing, the echo of drums still pounding in my ears. I tried to confront him once, in daylight, in public. I turned suddenly on a busy street, forcing our paths to cross. He froze when he saw me. Real fear crossed his face. Not guilt, not anger. Fear. Sorry, he said quickly, stepping aside. I didn't mean to. He stopped himself. Didn't finish the sentence. That was worse than if he had. I became certain then. He was hiding something. And whatever he'd done to Mara, he thought I knew. The thought kept me awake at night, replaying moments, imagining what he might be capable of. I started locking my door twice, checking my windows, avoiding mirrors because sometimes, just sometimes, I thought I saw someone standing behind me who wasn't there when I turned around. The Festival of Dying Gods was approaching, the night where we attempt to coax the absent gods into blessing our decaying city once more. Eden transformed every year. Masks, costumes, streets flooded with color and anonymity. People became unrecognizable, freed from consequence. It felt like the kind of night where truth could surface, or be buried forever. I saw Elias buying a mask 2 days before the festival. It was plain, white, featureless. That terrified me more than any fearsome god. The last night before the festival, I dreamed of the island, of the fairy horn sounding over and over, of water closing over something heavy, of a phone vibrating endlessly in a pocket that would never answer. When I woke, I was shaking. I knew then that if I didn't act, I would disappear too, just like Mara. I don't know what Elias plans to do during the festival. I only know I'll be there, watching him. Because if I don't, I'm afraid of what he'll do next. The Festival of Dying Gods always smelled like smoke and sugar. Incense burned at every corner to rouse the gods. Sweet fried dough, spilled alcohol, damp fabric soaked with rain and sweat. Lanterns swayed overhead like swollen eyes, their light turning every face into something theatrical and false. Masks were everywhere. Gods with too many mouths, gods with 3 sets of eyes, gods of love, hate, money, nature, death, sleep, and rebirth. We have so many gods. The choice of costumes are endless. It was easy to disappear during the festival. That was the problem. I arrived just after sunset, my heart hammering so loudly it felt audible. I wore a mask too, a simple one, painted to resemble a forgotten river deity. I didn't want to stand out. I wanted to watch, to catch him. I told myself I needed proof. I saw Elias near the old square. He wore the white mask I'd seen him buy, smooth, expressionless, disturbingly human in its blankness. It reflected the lantern light like polished bone. He moved slowly through the crowd, not searching, avoiding. That unsettled me. I followed at a distance, slipping between bodies, letting drums and laughter swallow the sound of my steps. Every time he stopped, my breath caught. Every time he turned, I ducked behind someone else's god face. At one point, he entered a narrow alley strung with paper charms and prayer slips. I followed. The alley dead-ended at a small shrine, neglected, half-rotted, offerings scattered and old. Elias stood before it, shoulders hunched. Then he bowed, not deeply, not reverently, like someone apologizing to something they didn't believe would forgive them. That was the first crack. Why would a murderer apologize? Unless... I shook the thought away. People perform guilt in strange ways. I remembered Mara suddenly, not the way I usually did, not frozen in her last messages, not smiling from photos on my phone, but vividly. Her laugh, the way she hummed when she concentrated, the way she trusted me. The memory came with a sharp pressure behind my eyes. I hadn't cried for her yet. I realized that then. Elias left the shrine and merged back into the festival. I followed him across the square, past performers dancing in jerky, ritualistic motions, past stalls selling charms meant to ward off curses that no one really believed in. He stopped near the river. I froze. The water churned dark beneath the lantern reflections. I remembered the bridge, the thing he'd dropped, the way he'd watched it sink. I edged closer. He reached into his coat. My heart slammed painfully against my ribs. He pulled out his phone. Just his phone. He stared at it for a long time, thumb hovering over the screen like it weighed too much. Then he put it away without using it. I felt disappointed. That should have scared me. The crowd surged suddenly as fireworks exploded overhead. Sound fractured the night. Light tore the sky open. For a moment, I lost him. Panic flared hot and fast. I pushed through bodies, calling his name under my breath without realizing it. Elias. I turned in a circle. Nothing. Then I saw him again, standing very still near the edge of the square, facing me, watching me. Not in confusion, not in fear, in recognition. He stepped toward me. I stepped back. He reached out, stopping just short of touching my arm. "I know you've been following me," he said. His voice was calm, exhausted. The words hit me like a slap. "No," I said immediately, too quickly. "You've been stalking me." He stared at me through the blank mask. "I don't know you," he said quietly. That was wrong. I laughed, a brittle, hysterical sound that felt rehearsed. "Mara," I said, "you don't get to pretend you don't know me." His posture stiffened. "Mara?" he repeated. Something about the way he said her name, carefully, reverently, scraped against something raw inside me. "Yes," I said. "Don't do that. Don't act confused." He shook his head slowly. "I've never met you before," he said. "I would remember." The ground tilted. Fragments surfaced without permission. Mara's apartment, the ferry schedule, the spare key she'd given me just in case. Her phone vibrating on the table. I pressed my hands to my temples. "You're lying," I whispered. "You killed her." His breath hitched sharply. "What?" he said. The word was real, broken. People brushed past us, laughing, shouting, gods dying and being reborn all around. "I loved her," he said. "She left me, and I never knew why." His voice cracked on the last word. Something inside me split open. I saw it then, not all at once, in pieces. The island, the argument, her saying, "Rain, you're scaring me." My hands shaking, her phone unlocked on the table, the message already typed. I remembered pressing send. I remembered the sound she made when she realized she couldn't run. The world roared back in as I looked into Elias's eyes with rage. "You should have been mine, not hers," I screamed as I pulled out the small knife I had concealed and slashed out at Elias. I stabbed his arm, I think. I stumbled away from Elias, bile rising in my throat. I pushed through the crowd blindly, the festival twisting into something grotesque and predatory. God masks leered at me, laughed, watched. I ran. The alley swallowed me. I hit the wall hard, gasping, nails scraping stone. The truth came flooding back, unstoppable. How I'd watched Elias long before Eden, how I'd memorized his photos, how I'd imagined myself beside him in Mara's place, how other women near him had felt like threats, how easily accidents could happen, how quietly people disappeared when no one looked too closely. I slid down the wall, sobbing. I wasn't being stalked. I had never been in danger. I was the danger. Hands grabbed my arms, firm, controlled. Voices shouted, masks fell away. The last thing I saw before the lights swallowed me was Elias standing at the mouth of the alley, mask discarded, arm dripping with blood, and face hollow with understanding. Not hatred, disgust. I wake up to white walls. The air smells like disinfectant and stale coffee. My hands are restrained gently, thoughtfully to the bed. There's a window, but it doesn't open. A doctor tells me I'm safe now, that I'm being treated, that the things I remember are complicated. They ask me to tell my story again, so I do. Because if I don't tell it, I'm afraid it will find someone else to inhabit, and it should be me who lives with this story, and the fear of myself, the fear of rain.